Welcome to the Ararat Rural City Council meeting. Council is keen to engage with members of the community and now live streams the formal council meetings to make them accessible. The stream will be available to view on Ararat Rural City Council's Facebook page from 6 p.m. and on Council's website www.ararat.vic.gov.au from Wednesday morning following the council meeting. You do not require a Facebook account to watch the live broadcast. Simply enter www.facebook.com/Ararat Rural City Council into your address bar. Please be upstanding. Councillor Armstrong.
The traditional acknowledgement. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
Councillor Wood.
Opening prayer. Almighty God, we humbly ask you to help us as elected councillors of the Ararat Rural City Council, guide our deliberations, prosper what is your will for us to your honour and glory and for the welfare and benefit of the people whom we serve in the Ararat Rural City.
We will undertake the duties of office of councillor in the best interest of the people of the municipal district of the Ararat Rural City Council and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us under the Local Government Act 1989 or any other act to the best of our skill and judgment.
Thank you. There are no apologies for the meeting. Confirmation of the minutes of the council meeting held on the 16th of April 2019 and a special council meeting held on the 7th of May 2019 be confirmed. Is anyone willing to move that? Councillor Braithwaite, Councillor Deutsch, wish to speak to it? Councillor Braithwaite? Anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Are there any declarations or disclosures of interest? No declarations or disclosures? There's no urgent business? There's no member of the public wishing to request to address council? There's no deputations or presentations. There's no petitions. So we'll go straight into the agenda. 3.1, Council Policy Review. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council is required to establish and publish procedures under the Protected Disclosures Act and in accordance with IBAC guidelines. The document presented tonight and has been recently reviewed as part of an ongoing review of all council policies. The policy has been renamed the Protected Disclosure Policy, with the guidelines being removed and the content reviewed. The guidelines removed as of IBAC have specific guidelines available on their website that relate to these. A protected disclosures procedure has been created which outlines the process for making a protected disclosure. The revised policy and procedures were included with the report for councillors' information. The policy and procedure will be readily available for members of the public and as well as internally to all councillors, employees and contractors. And once the policy is adopted, it will be available on council's website for everyone to see.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the officer? If there's not, there's a recommendation here. Someone willing to move? Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Deutsch, do you wish to speak to it? No? No one wishes to speak to it? So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Planning Scheme Amendment. Errors and anomalies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This sounds more exciting than it is, this one, I think. Errors and anomalies sounds pretty controversial and exciting, but it's really just Delta requires the permission to make some corrections to our planning scheme. There are three here that we're presenting tonight. One is Pound Lane, it is changing it from public use zone to industrial zone. This was previously a council owned site and it was transferred to private ownership on the 15th of August 2017, the council meeting. And there's a need for us to make sure that zoning changes from public use to industrial.
General residential is in the recommendation.
Yes. I think it actually should be industrial, Mr. Mayor. We will, yes. There's Country Fire Brigade headquarters at 390 Barclay Street, Ararat. That's shifting to the new site in Baird Street. And again, this is changing the zoning from public use zone to the general residential zone. And the third one is Mulcahy Road, Ararat. It's currently a property there. I think this might be an anomaly actually. There's a property there that is currently zoned public use when it's in the midst of residential area, and the change there should be from public use zone to general residential zone for that property. There are those three areas of anomalies to be fixed under our planning scheme as dealt with by the Commission within 2018.
Can I just ask a couple of questions, Mr. CEO? The CFA site is now used by the fire brigade as their fire station and will be for some time. Will that zoning change affect their use there?
It won't affect the use. They've got current use, so that's fine.
And the other one, it's got in the recommendation, general residential zone. And I thought it was someone's house that they brought the land around the town.
They did. I'd have to. Unfortunately, our manager's not here tonight. She has 8 children. I think the recommendation is actually correct. That it's general residential. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Anyone wish to move the recommendation? Councillor Armstrong, seconder. Councillor Deutsch, do you wish to speak to it? Anyone wish to speak to or against? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Waste and recycling services, Mr. CEO.
Yes, just an information report, Mr. Mayor, on the process around establishing a new contract for waste and recycling services. The current one's due to expire on the 30th of June 2020. Council went to market in 2013 for the current wheelie bin service and the transfer station services for recycling, collection and processing. It just outlines the process there about tender going to market in July 2019, the assessment taking place on 10th of November. We consider our response in November, December 2019. We prepare the implementation of the new contract between January and May. The new contract will commence in July 2020. I guess it seems like we're a fair way out from that occurring, but I guess we need to start work on that process right now so we have an orderly transition if we have to change contractors during that period.
Are there any questions for the officer? If not, someone move the recommendation. Councillor Braithwaite. Councillor Armstrong, wish to speak? Councillor Braithwaite?
No.
No. Anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Building approvals. Now, if you'll note, we have some amendments here which are because it's just a couple of typos over the years. Instead of typing 2018, something accidentally typed 2019 in the dates approved, etc. So there the amendments are in front of you. Is there any questions for the officer? If not, there's a recommendation there. Anyone will move it? Councillor Holt. Councillor Armstrong, do you wish to speak? If not, does anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Planning matters in the same. Excuse me. Are there any questions for the officer? If not, can someone move the recommendation? Councillor Peckman, Councillor Hull. Anyone wish to speak to it? No. I'll put the motion then. For those in favour, it's passed. Community Grants Assessment Panel report, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I provided some additional information to councillors about the unsuccessful applications and where they were likely to end up last night by email. I hope you'll receive those and we're able to have a look at those. So there were 4 successful grant applications, one with the Wycliffe Lake By Football Club for their kitchen upgrade, one for the Ararat Rural District Field and Games Association for the trap purchase program, one for the SMW Rovers Netball Tennis Club for a fence upgrade, and Lake Memorial Hall for new chairs. Total funding allocated on this process was $29,950.88. A range of the unsuccessful projects have been diverted into other areas of council activity. 2 have been referred to our maintenance area, where we can actually do some work through routine maintenance, and a couple have been sent to our events or sponsorship funding allocations as well. So I think we'll be able to make a few more clubs happy through that process who've missed out because they weren't eligible for the grants process. I think there's a clear need at this point in time for us to review the grant allocation process. I'm not comfortable with the current process being officer driven. I think we actually need to potentially make an opportunity for community members to be more actively engaged in the grants on the grants panel around allocation. I'll present a paper to the next council meeting, or to the next briefing, sorry, on that issue for us to discuss at that point. Council happy with that?
Are there any other questions? Someone move the recommendation? Councillor Allgood, seconded. Councillor George, do you wish to speak, Councillor Allgood?
Yes, I'd like to say I would hope that these particular grant applications that have missed out are going to actually be guided through another process where there is money available. And the other question I'd like to ask, is there any thought about council making an evening so as people have an idea to actually put in for grants other than the council ones? Because there's always a number of both state and federal grants out there, but I think sometimes when people see the paperwork they feel quite intimidated. But if we had a process where we could sit people down at the night time and explain to them what they need to do and how to go about it, it might make it a lot easier on our system and, you know, be of benefit to the whole community.
Council staff already provide assistance to community organisations that want to apply for grants other than council ones, Council Allgood, but we will be in the next new financial year engaging a part-time grants officer who's basically about council obtaining money through grants, but they can certainly provide some assistance in terms of perhaps some opening sessions around the grant process, what's available.
Does anyone else wish to speak to the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Yes, passed. Council plan. This was another one that had some date errors, was it? Or was it? I can't remember.
That's
The report's quite expansive there.
I suppose the colour coding on this report is if we complete 100%, it gets a green diamond, which is good news. If it's in progress, in the latter half of its progress, it's a blue diamond. If it's early in progress, it gets a yellow diamond. And I think that's the coding system. It's not very complicated. I worked it out by myself, actually. But I guess a large amount of our council plan activity for the first 2 years of the council plan has been achieved. There are some that are currently ongoing, but are parts of larger issues like advocacy program and so forth for the next financial year. And I'm confident that we'll actually fully complete all of our council plan undertakings during the periods.
So if we see a red one there, we'll really panic.
We will. Red's not good.
Council Braithwaite.
The only one, Mr. Mayor, that I'd like a little bit of clarification on is the small-term wastewater study, which was only...
What number is that?
Well, it's on page 25, bottom of the page. And it's got a yellow diamond.
Yeah, that one's still early in the progress, Councillor Braithwaite. I can provide a broader briefing, the next council briefing on that if you'd like, about where we're heading with it.
I would like to know what the purpose of the study is.
It's a very good question. It was actually, I'll do the old claim, it was before my time, Councillor Braithwaite. And there are a couple of items on here I'd ask the same question about, to be honest. I think we've discussed those at length over time. But it may well refer to some of our townships with smaller lot sizes have difficulty in terms of septic systems and so forth. So it may actually be a study of wastewater in that
All right,
space.
I'll await your further
I'll give you
advice.
some further advice on that one, though. You've caught me on the hop there, Councillor Braithwaite.
I didn't mean to.
That's all good, that's perfectly
Nothing wrong
fine.
with that. Any other questions? Anyone wish to move the recommendation? Councillor Braithwaite. Councillor Hull, do you wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against, passed.
Showing good completion rate, huh?
Committee, Section 86 Committee of Management minutes, and there's also an extra set of minutes presented to councillors for the Wallora Recreation Reserve Committee of Management, indicating who their new committee are, and we require endorsement of them as being acceptable. Which is part 4 of the recommendation. Are there any questions in relation to the minutes? If not, let's go for it.
This is shows a little bit of embarrassment, really, because I think we spoke about this a while ago in terms of how we notify the staff that we've attended these functions. Because if you look at the council attendance record, and I mean, it doesn't show a very good record. But I know that I've attended several of these meetings. And I know other people have as well. So we either do this or we stop doing it. Do it properly or not do it at all.
So what we're doing now, if I can answer the question before, we're relying on the minutes that are sent to us, not what the councillors tell us. Is that correct?
When the minutes are presented, we take it off the minutes, not when the meeting is.
No, so when we've got this, for example, this Ballora Hall, rec reserve, and it indicates that Councillor Pepperman is the delegate and I attended. I notice here it's down as we attended, so I assume it's been taken off the minutes. So to get a more accurate figure, councillors will have to send an email, will they, to you to say I attended
Well, we
that
usually
meeting?
only put the attendance when we're actually presenting the minutes.
So the minutes come after the meeting agenda, they don't show.
So if the council has attended a meeting and we haven't received the minutes, it's not put there until we actually receive the minutes. Because the minutes,
But when we receive the minutes, it'll be recorded in the next agenda.
I think what Councillor Braithwaite's
Yeah, I
going to
understand.
is that it appears that we're not, but some of these, it's clearly indicate that they haven't told us about meetings or that the meetings haven't.
Well, I attended the Promotional Reserve Committee meeting in May, but they didn't. Because they didn't tell us that they'd tell me that they'd postponed it.
Yeah. So maybe we'll have to look into a more
We will,
accurate system.
we can have a system where councillors report when they attend things. That's pretty
I
straightforward.
think that'd be more sensible.
Okay, that's fine. We can work around that. I think that's right. That's not a big issue at all. I guess we're just using the minutes as the most accurate way of collecting that information. But if the minutes coming to us late, of course, it does look like you haven't attended the meeting that particular month. So we can sort that out. It's not difficult.
So one of the groups here, the Councillor Armstrong's on, they've not met since 2015 officially.
That's right, and I've contacted that committee in an attempt to find out when a meeting is going to be held to no avail. So
Probably they haven't had a meeting, that's what I'm trying to indicate.
they've not
to
had
you.
a meeting, that's absolutely correct.
Anyway, so if there are no further questions for the officers, there's the recommendation there. Anyone willing to move the recommendation?
So
Councillor Hull, Councillor Deutsch, do you wish to speak to it? Anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Advisory committees. It's slightly the same issue there, I guess, to Councillor Braithwaite, because you and I have had about 3 meetings since that date.
That's right.
On the advisory committee. If there's no questions for the officer, there's a recommendation. Anyone will move the recommendation? Councillor Braithwaite, Councillor Deutsch, anyone wish to speak? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against, that's passed. Assemblies of councillors. Any questions on that? There's only 2 assemblies during that period. So there's a recommendation. Councillor Hull, Councillor Armstrong. Anyone wish to speak to it? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against, passed. Councillors' reports. Councillor Deutsch.
Well, our CEO and myself, we had another meeting with good townspeople of Lake Bolak. It was very well received, and we also had a meeting with the sports club. And some issues came up, and they're being addressed. So everybody in Lake Bolak is apparently very happy with the effort that our CEO does, and I think our next report from this area down there should be much better than it was previously. That's
it, Frank. Thank you. Councillor Peck.
Yes, on the 15th of May, last Monday, I attended the Environmental Sustainability Advisory Group. We've got a number of really good ideas, but one that I'll mention tonight is the boomerang bag project in Lake Bolak, and that's going fantastic. A lot of the bags are coming back. At one stage, a lot of bags just disappeared, and then now they're all coming back, and people are reusing them. At the moment, what the committee are trying to do is asking if anybody's got any old material or would like to volunteer to help make some more bags. So that's a really good thing. And on another meeting on the same night, I attended the Moyston Hall Committee of Management. I'd like to thank the Moyston Hall Committee for their hospitality. They do a terrific job. And this Sunday, the 26th, they're having another high tea. They ask for as many people who want to come as possible. And if you just look on their website, on the Facebook Moyston Community Notice Board, there's more details, and that starts at 2 o'clock. And as the Mayor mentioned, on Wednesday night, we both attended the Wallora Recreation Hall AGM. New committee was elected, which I congratulate and look forward to working with them in the future. And I'd like to thank the outgoing committee and all their hard work as well. So thank you. That's all.
Councillor Allgood.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. On Wednesday the 17th of April, the Ararat Agricultural Show met again. On the Thursday, I mention all of these with a purpose, so if you just bear with me. On the 18th of April, the Ararat Ladies Probus met. Easter weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, we repeatedly visited the lake to pick up rubbish and deliver brochures to encourage people into town. Easter Monday, J-Board actually had their 25 years, and if I could just correct a record that was actually written in the local paper, the amount of money which was found in the bag, supposedly in the caravan, was $2,000. I think Mr Roberts got a little bit carried away and put an extra naught on that particular 20,000 that he was talking about, but that was very interesting, and it was good to be able to be there for their 25th year. Still going great guns and very popular still, so that's great. 25th of April, I attended the dawn service, and that's just absolutely magnificent. That dawn service, 6 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. There must have been 500-600 people there, absolutely. And the great idea this year was that the traffic lights were closed by the state emergency service between both ends of the street. So when the people did spill out onto the street in the dark, it was very safe, because when you came up the street you could see those flashing lights. So Mr CEO, not quite sure whose idea that was, but I thought it was absolutely brilliant and really showed that we really care about our community, because other years it's been a hit or miss as far as the traffic, because most people travelling through Ararat wouldn't realise where that particular monument is, so they didn't slow down for a minute. I attended the Alex Oval redistribution of boundaries meeting, Mechanics Institute a meeting. I delivered another monitor defibrillator down to the Ararat North Community House on behalf of the Ararat Ambulance Auxiliary. The Trash and Treasure for the Blue Yang Police Group raised nearly $2,000. The reason I mention that is that if you look at that whole 12 months with 12 Trash and Treasures, if you add that up, people can make about $24,000 out of that one Sunday in the month, which I think is a fantastic effort and takes the pressure off a lot of our grant applications. There was May the 30th was the 30th year of the Ararat Ladies Probus Dinner, and I attended the recognition last night of the Ararat Volunteers. And the reason I've listed all those particular meetings that I've attended, I'm only one. Sometimes there can be 10, 15 people at those meetings. And while we talked last night about volunteers and we're always disappointed with the ages of the people that are there, to attend that last night, I left the basketball. Now, I looked around the room and there was 2 umpires on each court. There were 3 people in the box. There were probably 15 helpers on either sides of the court. So there was probably 50 volunteers down there. Now, they're there supporting their children. They don't realise they're volunteering. People who go to the football who do the scoreboard, anybody who goes along to an organisation and actually helps out, probably doesn't realise that they're volunteering, but they are a volunteer, because we couldn't do this without them. So while we always mention the fact that only older people go along to these particular things, these younger ones. And you can look at basketball, you can look at netball, you can look at everything that's actually run, and most of the things are run by volunteers. And I think that as a small community, we've got an incredible record of being able to house all of our, or accommodate all of our public halls and all of our organisations with having so many volunteers. So I'm more than happy to actually have those people attend, but I do think that the young ones always say, oh, I haven't got time to do this, I haven't got time to do that. But they go and they volunteer and they don't realise they're doing it. So I think that, that's a great turnout to look around and just look at our community and see how many volunteers there are. They might be going on the night to accept an award, but they certainly are out there doing their best. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. On Tuesday, the 7th of May, I participated along with Councillor Hull and Councillor Deutsch in a SHARE forum, which was the Settlement, Humanitarian and Refugee Enhancement Forum that was also in part by the Grampians, Pyrenees, PCP, Grampians Community Health played a part, a number of Ararat agencies. It was a great partnership across the community, and an absolute highlight for me was the testimonials given by a number of people who have chosen to migrate or arrive as refugees into Australia and have settled in our part of the world, and they were really generous in sharing their stories and experiences. There was humour, there was great sadness, but their generosity was not lost on us. The following day, I filled in for Councillor Beales and chaired the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee meeting, and quite enjoyed that experience actually. That was an agenda that illustrated to me just how those agencies that come together for the purpose of that management planning, emergency management planning, work to deal with current issues as well as issues as they evolve in real time, with changes in our society, changes in the way we live, work and play. And all of those agencies are working so hard to keep us protected at all times, keep us safe. And last Friday, I had the great honour of participating in the raising of the rainbow flag for the very first time at Council, again covering for Councillor Beales, who could not be present due to a commitment, I believe, with the MAB State Council in Melbourne. And that was for Ida Hobbit Day, and that did send a really strong visual message across our community for the support for the LGBTIQ community, and it was a terrific celebration. I've also appreciated that we continued the gathering in the space of the art gallery foyer, and I thought that was just a great transition to go across the road of Vincent Street from the flagpole into a really welcoming space, a welcoming, safe space for people, and that was much appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Braithwaite.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Anzac Day, I stood in for you as you were at Wollora, and I took great pride in marching down the street and laying the wreath. Impeccably observed service, I have to say. So that was a great pleasure to do that. I also attended the Wollora Hall rededication, and I can tell you, I have not seen so many happy people in one room at one time in terms of the way they accepted what has been done for that community and that hall. It was heartening. I also attended the SHARE forum for a period of time and was astounded at the variety of people that may consider Ararat as a home in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Hall.
I also attended the opening of the Wollora Hall, and I really think that we should congratulate the committee who worked so hard to make that happen, and I think we should also congratulate Andrew Estick, the builder, because he certainly did a fantastic job with the brief that he was given. So definitely a big plus for the community of Wollora, and very glad that we were able to assist with that project. On the 29th of April, I attended the VEC Electoral Representation Review public hearings. That's a mouthful. There was only one submission. It was a forum to hear submissions. There was only one. And so I have to presume, which you should never do, that perhaps there isn't a great deal of enthusiasm within the community to change from the current no ward system, but that remains to be seen. I also, as Councillor Armstrong has said, attended that share resettlement for refugees. Absolutely amazing, the experiences that they shared with us, and also some of them that where we as Australians could have done a little bit better. But they faced a lot of challenges and a lot of support, and they came out well. And one of the interesting things was that a number of people there said that as people who have come into rural areas, they faced similar experiences to the refugees. So it's not just the refugees, it's perhaps communities need to be more welcoming about the people who come into their community. I also did the flag raising for Ida Hobbit. I have to confess the only reason I can remember that is I think of Ida Botgroves and the Hobbits, which is probably not very flattering for that community. It was great to see them there, to have them recognised as important parts of our people in our community, and to share with them that they are very welcome in our community. The volunteers night last night was excellent. There were a lot of volunteers there, and one of the things that I found was that the people receiving awards were very keen to share their experiences and how they found being a volunteer, and so it was good to see, and very pleasing that we as a council could recognise the efforts that they make, because they play a large part in us having such a successful community.
Indeed. Thank you. Right, so start with my little thing. With the CEO, I attended the Rural Council's meeting in Melbourne. I won't make any comments about the suitability, whether it was worthwhile or not. I attended the opening upgrade at the Woolora Hall the next day, and that was a much better event. It was very enjoyable. And I was opening at the opening of the time capsule at J Ward for the celebrations, and that was excellent too. We've had 2 meetings of the External Audit Committee in relation to appointments of new people. On Anzac Day, since I've been there, I go to Woolora for the dawn service, and I did it's not really afternoon, but it feels like it after doing the dawn service. And there would have been 200, 250 people there. It was excellent. It was really good. I've attended the Elmhurst Rec Reserve annual meeting. I did the workshop for the LGBTQ, I'll never get that right, inclusion workshop with the Commissioner for not Equal Opportunity. I'll remember in a minute. The interesting one I attended, and Councillor Hull also attended, was 2 busloads of new arrivals of various types, refugees and just new arrivals, who came out, given us 2 days' notice. Our hospitality was very good. They were very engaged, and they were very pleased to be out here. And I believe we've already got 1 person has moved up to take a job here, so it's already started. If they had given us some notice, we might have been able to do a bit better of engaging with businesses, etc. It was quite difficult in that regard. And translation was difficult too, because there were so many different languages. The CEO and I went to the Ramadan dinner in Melbourne, and as Councillor Petman said, we attended the Woolora Rec Reserve AGM. I also went to the Ladies Prober's 30th birthday, and I'm glad to see that they're now under Councillor Allgood's tutelage, passing around written jokes to read out, much better than the off-the-cut ones. And I need some of them for myself. They were very good. We had the State Council of the MAV last Friday, and that in itself is an interesting experience. It hasn't changed much in all the years. The smaller municipalities had 1 vote, and the bigger ones had 2. So, except for the election of the president of the MAV, where everyone has 1 vote, the voting is weighted, and 25% of all the recommendations came from 3 councils. And if I hear those 3 councils, and they're all Melbourne councils again, I think I'll throttle anyone from them. It was just a lot of trivia. And of course last night was Volunteers Week, which was Volunteers Awards. it is really good to be in those groups. The only disappointing thing, and I think Councillor Allgood has partly alluded to it, is there are a lot of young people who are volunteering, but no one seems to ever think that they should put them up. And I think next year we'll have to actually target the schools, some of the sporting clubs, and those other groups that engage with young people and see if we can get some younger representation. Because whilst volunteering isn't because of recognition, if you get recognition when you're young, you tend to stay with things. So I think that's something we'll have to look at. So that's the end of the reports. It's a recommendation that the reports be received, please. Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Braithwaite, does anyone wish to speak? No? All those in favour? Passed. There's no notice of motions. There's no urgent business. Now, Council will now be closing the meeting to deal with matters of staffing and business in confidence. There's a recommendation there, Councillors. Someone move it. Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Hull. Anyone wish to speak to it? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? That's passed.